Hi, my name is Reverend JoAnn, and we're here at Gathering of Light, where we try to make a heart-to-heart unity connection as we're connecting with each other this day, because we want to support each and every person in their own unique spiritual journey as we tap into the wisdom of all the sages from all traditions and all those magical, helpful words that we can then live our own true spirituality. There's a lot of bees behind me. I'm really excited that the bees have joined us here today. I have a nice agreement with them to stay on the flowers. But if not, so be it. There we go. Double entendre, so be it. So there we go. I'm just really excited about this day. These are my heroes, so I just get a chance to talk about my heroes a little bit. It's interesting, I only have a little bit of time, and there's 4 of them on there, and they're really inspiring to see that. But to think about, the first thing that I want to just remind everybody about is that all of them worked hard in their lives. Right? These are not people that just sat around and sat on their laurels, and it's work. And spirituality is work, and really getting to a place of being a peace hero, being somebody who really works the principles of spirituality in their lives, need to work on it. And one of the things that the Peace Pilgrim, if you haven't heard about the Peace Pilgrim, I'll ask you to look her up. She is the woman that she just left everything, and from 1953 to 1981, she just walked across the country. She walked thousands and thousands. She started out at 25,000 miles for peace and just kept going. And she didn't have any possessions. She accepted no money. She fasted when she didn't have food. She ate when somebody gave her food. She never asked for anything. She only had a toothbrush and a comb in her pocket. And she walked across the United States, and she was asked to speak in colleges and churches and synagogues and places of worship all around the country, giving the message of peace. Now, in 1953, it was not a time for a woman to go walking across the country with nothing, right? And she was a woman who had wealth. She had lots of things. She had a lot of successes in her life, and she just let everything go because this was her mission. And she knew it was her mission and not everybody's mission. So when people wanted to follow her, she said, no, this is mine, not yours. Find yours. But what you have to do first is you have to go to a sense of maturity in your lives. And if you look at everybody else too, you look at Mahatma Gandhi, right? Mahatma is a great one. He wasn't the great one when he first started out. He was a lawyer. He was a lawyer, and he was, he studied in England at the time. That was a very prestigious thing. And then he was on the train, first class passenger in South Africa, and then he got moved to the back, and he realized that things were different than his life, and it wasn't happening the way he thought it was happening, right? That there was problems in the world, things that people had to overcome that he wasn't even looking at. He didn't even notice because he was just busy with his own world. And so things started to change as he broadened his perspective of life. And that comes from a sense of maturing. First, we start maturing in our world, in our lives, and what's happening for us. And also, we have that with St. Francis. St. Francis was very wealthy, and he went off and he was fighting in the Crusades, and he was out there doing it. And then he had to come to a place and says, we don't have Siddhartha Gautama in there, but he had all the wealth. Listen to the story of the masters. They tried having everything for themselves, living in the lap of luxury, looking to have all the things, the things of the earth, and it never satisfied. They lost the disconnection from the earth, from the animals, from life, from breath, from breathing, from what we're truly made of. And it wasn't until they realized that this wasn't the place. This isn't what they needed. This is not even what they wanted. But then they had to go to a place of emotional maturity in their lives. Because you can't just step out, saying that this doesn't work. Because that just makes you angry. Right? That just makes you angry and resentful. You have to come to a place of emotional maturity in our lives. And that's why we have to look at ourselves. And that's why I said when spirituality, that there's work involved. We haven't even got to the spiritual part yet. I'm just talking about the regular life conditions of ourselves. And we have to look at that. What about the emotional maturity that we need to get to? That means we have to start cleaning house. We have to look at our behaviors. Where do we get caught up in our fears? Where do we get caught up in our self-defeating behaviors? Where do we get caught up in holding on to resentments and judgments in our lives where we don't allow ourselves to go higher, to go deeper, to go stronger, to go richer, to go purer in our expression of life and of love and of living? Whew. Yeah, it's work. It's work. But you don't have to do it all at once. But if you want to move now into that other place of life, into that spiritual maturity, you got to do those work. You got to take stock of what's important, what really matters on the physical. You got to move into that emotional, and you got to understand emotions, not be bound by them, know how to appropriately express them, live in them, and live with them. But as we start doing that, what happens is we start, as you open up, even first step, if you start opening up to the physical, you'll start having these peak experiences. All of a sudden, one day, you're just out here on the grass, and you're looking up at these gorgeous trees in the sky, and a bird flies by, or someone's a little twinkle of an eye, because no one can't see the smile, but a twinkle of an eye comes by, or a little puppy comes up to you, and you just feel a yes. And there's a peak experience that happens to you. You kind of go up, out of all of that, physical, emotional, and spiritual. You go above all of that, and you feel what we are going to work towards for our spiritual experiences. You see, so all of us here that have felt that high pivotal moment, yes, that's the place that we want to live in eventually. But until that time, we're like, right, we're going up and down. So when life is going, don't worry about it. As my husband likes to say, what was that sound again? Let's hear with the bees. It's because all the bees are behind me. I'm adding their bee sound into our just crazy experience. But it's experience, and it's part of the process. Be open to process. Be open to allowing things to be moved through you, with you, and around you into life. That's when we come more into that spiritual place. You see, really, we don't really need to become spiritual beings. We are that at our pivotal. That's why when we get to those peak experiences, we go, ah, yes, this is right. This is right. This feels what I always knew I could feel. This is what God is. It's experience. Not descriptions, it's not things. It's experience. One of the bases of Gathering of Light was a quote from A Course in Miracles. It said that a universal theology was impossible, but a universal experience was not only possible, but necessary. It is necessary for us to go to those peak places and to understand that all of us, in our truest sense of who we are, and that's one of the things that Peace Pilgrim held to in her heart and talked about. One of the things that St. Francis knew in all of his opening up to brother sun, sister moon, all the creatures of the earth, that John Lennon, even in all of his fame and fortune, knew to back out and to say, look, it's just about peace, guys. It's not about all that other stuff. And that peace comes when we're truly in that peace. We truly want for another that which we want for ourselves. We truly can hope for and see that highest truth within each and every human being. And when someone is so lost in their world, so caught up, it's just a phase of their lives. And we can still hope for, we can still be those peacemakers, those peace bringers, those channels of peace in our lives. If we bring the focus back to ourselves, back to doing the best that we can possibly do. How are you with the animals? How are you with the trees? How are you with the earth? How are you at appreciating the very breath that you take? All of it is a gift. All of it is part of that beautiful cycle of life, that part of divinity that you are and you're meant to be with. This day, as we are reminded of these heroes who each one did so many different things, we are reminded of the uniqueness of all of us as peacemakers, as peace heroes, as peace warriors in our lives. What is the unique way that you are going to change the world? Remember, it starts within, and then it goes to the next person you meet. And then you know that that exchange is affecting every exchange, that every creature, not just human, every creature is having in the world. With this knowledge, with this inspiration to go forward in our lives, we say thank you to all of our pets. We say thank you to brother, sun, sister, moon, to the rivers, to the mountains, to the lakes, to the streams, to all of nature that is given to us, to Gaia, the great goddess, the mother of us all. We say thank you to life, and we rededicate ourselves to be the change, to be the hero we are looking to see. And so it is. So it is.